I come here today as a citizen of the city. I come here today as an advocate for housing. I come here today with the voice of the child that I was then to let you know that it sucks when you can't have a place to stay. I'm in one of those cohorts housings descriptions. I have my 3 adult children who have jobs. I have my brother-in-law who's disabled, and I have a nephew who is also disabled. And they can't afford to have their place of their own. Working at McDonald's full-time and making about $1,100 a month in income, you can't afford the cheapest housing on 16th Street for $850 a month in rent and still live. So where does that leave us today? Well, a report done by the greater by Ryan Kilpatrick shows that last year that there's a gap of 2,000 units within the city of Holland for housing. That was based on the different surveys that they did, and of course we hear a lot of wonderful things from the city about where we are on the marker towards things that are in the pipeline. If you actually are able to participate in any of those meetings, you can see what's in the pipeline and what's the actuality that's going to be built. We have a wonderful down the street here. I think it's a 32-unit condo that's supposed to be being built directly across the street from the men's shelter. I question the dignity of people sitting there in the place looking at there's units being built and they can never afford to live there because base for the apartment, I think it was 900 square feet, was going for $400,000 to purchase, and it's all they could do to hope to find a place that would take a percentage of that for the being there. I've been to several of the meetings and I've heard people question, what about the density in areas when the question of when the opportunity for other places to be built are there? What about green space, the reliable spot? That was some of the questions that came up there. How will the trash be removed? How will the snow be removed? And I'm thinking, well, the same way it was moved before it got there. People were able to shovel the snow. You worried about the green space, but we're walking distance to the park. We're walking distance to Collin Park, windows on the waterfront, Centennial Park. What about the people that's sleeping in the green spaces? This past winter, we had the polar vortex, and we were told of a large number of families that were sleeping in the woods. And a large number of churches here in the community opened up their doors for people during that polar vortex. And there were a couple of us that were overnight stations, and it was something when the third day passed and we were like, we gotta close the door. And you hear stories about people sleeping in their cars, and the one particular gentleman, he told about how the velocity of the wind blows and how you have to angle your car in such a fashion so that the wind doesn't go directly through the seams of the windows, but it'll actually flow over the top of the car. Like, what does it take to have that type of mindset to think about the way the wind blows so that you don't be cold at night? This is why we're here in the park today. We have people that don't have the option of not being in a park or in a cold space, or we have people that are walking around before they go to the place that somebody lets them go, come sleep on the couch at, just trying to stay out the way. The same people we see sometimes when we're at the library. You know, they're just holding up time until they can go someplace else. It's a sad statement. Holland has over 147 churches. Wikipedia says that we are the city of light. Where is the light in the darkness? It's a good question. So, what can we do? That's another question. We can go to City Hall and we can go sit at all the meetings and we can give all the reasons why it needs to be there, but our elected officials, they have to give us the reasons why it should be too. If we're the city of light and we don't care about the people that's in the dark, what does that mean to us outside of Sundays?